Welcome to your practice today, beginning in reclined butterfly pose, letting the bottoms of the feet come to touch. Place your hands where they feel most natural. So for me, that is resting on my hip crests. And just begin to soften the body, relax the jaw, maybe even close the eyes, and become aware of your breath. And you may even want to set an intention for your practice today, so a purpose for why you are on your mat today. And when you're ready, we'll gently begin to lift the knees and separate the feet, heel-toe the feet maybe as wide as the edge of your mat, and let the knees drop in to counter stretch. We're going to place the left hand over the heart and the right hand over the belly, and we're going to take 4 rounds of box breathing. So we'll take a breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold the breath 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold the breath 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold 1, 2, 3, 4. And then take a nice deep breath in and expand long through the whole body. Maybe stretch the arms and legs out. And take your time, roll to one side of your mat and come up to sit. So we'll come into just a nice easy lotus position or cross-legged position. Move the flesh of the glutes out of the way so that we're on the sits bones, and begin to roll the shoulder blades up, back, and down. Taking 3 to 5 rolls of the shoulders just to relax the upper body. And when you're ready, begin to just still the shoulders, soften the elbows down, maybe hold on to the knees. Drop your chin to your chest. And as we take a breath in, we're going to roll the right ear to right shoulder gently. As we take a breath out, move your chin back to your chest. On your next breath in, roll your left ear to left shoulder. Nice and easy. And then exhale, roll that chin to the chest. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. So starting to link our movements with our breath. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And exhale, chin to chest. Good. Inhale, right ear to right shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. And then last time, exhale, chin to chest. On your next breath in, roll the head up, roll the shoulder blades back and down. Unwrap the feet here and pull the right knee into your chest as you stretch the left leg out long. We'll place the bottom of the right foot to the inner part of the left thigh and make sure we're still in the sits bones. And we're going to place our left hand behind the left hip and reach your right hand up high to the sky. Keep your spine long and just barely try to tap towards the toes. And then inhale, lift right back up and place your right hand behind you. Use the strength of the hips and the right arm to push your hips up high into this funky little wild thing shape as your left hand stretches back behind you. Place the left hand back behind and then again tap towards those left toes with the right hand. Right hand back to the mat and push the hips up and open into a small back bend. Sink the hips back low, left hand back behind you, right hand up high, tap the toes. Good. Reach back up high, right hand behind you. Push the hips up and stretch the heart open. Good. Gently sink the hips down and still yourself. Pull the right knee back up and then place the right foot on the opposite side of the left thigh. Sit up a little bit taller as you wrap the left arm around that right knee and then circle your right hand back behind you. Pull your chest up a little bit taller and twist your gaze over the right shoulder. If that still feels okay, you could even take the elbow to the top part of that right thigh, spinning a little bit deeper. And with each exhale, try to wring the lungs out a little bit more. Maybe the gaze still spins over the right shoulder. Okay, when you're ready, we'll come back to center. And we're going to place the left hand behind you, rock up onto your left hip just a little bit, and then start to peel your heart open by pulling on that right knee with your right hand, and then spin your gaze over the left shoulder. That might feel like enough. If you want a little bit deeper twist, we're going to place the right elbow inside to the right knee and twist a little bit deeper, just listening to the back. When you're ready, come back to center, pull both knees up towards your chest, and then keeping the left knee in, stretch your right leg out long. Place the bottom of the left foot to the right inner thigh and get back on the sits bones. Right hand comes behind you as the left hand reaches high to the sky. Reaching across the body, try to tap the toes of the right foot with your left hand. And then place the left hand behind you as you push your hips up, reaching your right hand back. Open the heart. Softly sink the hips back down. Right hand comes back behind you. Left hand reaches up to the sky. Tap towards the toes a little bit or a lot. And then place the left hand behind you as you push the hips up high to the sky. Open the heart. One more time. This can be as small as you need it. Not forcing a shape. Tap towards the toes. Good. Left hand back behind you. Push the hips up high and stretch the heart open. Softly sink the hips back to the earth. Pull the left knee up towards the sky. Place your left foot on the opposite side of the right thigh. And then as you sit up nice and tall, wrap your right arm around your left knee. Spin your left hand back behind your left hip and sit up a little bit taller. Spin your gaze over the left shoulder. We can stay here as we wring the breath out, or perhaps taking the right elbow to the top of the left thigh, left knee, and spin a little deeper. Again, with each breath, we exhale the lungs, wringing them out like a wet washcloth. Good. We'll take one more breath in. As we exhale, we'll return back to center. Coming over onto the right hip a little bit higher, start to grab for that left knee with your left hand as the right hand comes behind you and pull your heart open. Spin your gaze over your right shoulder and perhaps even taking that left elbow to the inside of the left knee. Spin the heart open as deeply as you feel comfortable and take a few moments just to find your breath. Again, we'll come back to center. We're going to bring both knees back into the chest and just kind of hug your knees in for just a moment. We'll begin to place the hands somewhere behind your hips with your fingers pointing towards the front of your mat. Pull your elbows towards one another and open your chest so you feel the front of the shoulders start to really expand. Try to lift your gaze, lift your chin up just a little bit and keep your back long. And this is going to be our option 1 here. To counter stretch, we're going to hug the knees back in, maybe even drop your chin to your chest and kind of round the upper back. You could even rock side to side like I'm doing right here. Pull the chest up, place the hands once again behind you, fingertips facing forward, squeeze your elbows in. So stay with option 1 if that feels pretty intense on the shoulders. Option 2, push your hips skyward and find this reverse tabletop. Resist the urge to keep looking towards your knees and let your head drop back so that your gaze is just flushed with the ceiling. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the knees, squeeze the elbows, and then softly lower your hips back down as your gaze comes to neutral. Hug your knees back in, move your chin towards your chest, and just counter stretch. And when you're ready, unwrap the legs. We're going to come into tabletop now. So just finding your way into hands and knees when you're ready. We're going to flip your right hand backwards so that we feel the forearm stretch on the inner part of that right arm. Now you can kind of see I'm finding some movement here. This could be pretty intense on your wrist, so just stay still if you need to. But we'll now take the top of the right hand to the floor and see if you can spin your elbow in and out. If that's too intense, just stay nice and still. Make a fist, roll your wrist around, and then begin to tent your fingertips and spread your fingers really wide and suction cup your right palm to the mat. Same thing on the left side. We're going to flip your left hand backwards and start to find some movement so that we're stretching the left forearm now. Be gentle. Begin to take the top of your left hand to the mat and maybe find some movement, or just stay still, or skip this completely if you have pretty sensitive wrists. Make a fist, roll the wrist around, and then begin to tent the left fingertips, spread the fingers wide, and really feel how suction cup the palms are into the mat. Untuck your toes, sink your belly down, and open the heart, and then move your chin to chest and round your back up. So taking a few cat-cows at your own pace. Exhale as we move into cat. Inhale as we open up into cow. Exhale, round the back up. Inhale, pull the heart forward, open the gaze. Exhale, curl round, open the back of the heart. Good. Inhale, open the heart. Exhale, round the back. Come into neutral spine when you're ready. We're going to step our right foot to the pinky edge of our right hand so that our hands are inside the right knee. Let your left thigh just sink somewhere towards the floor, and this would be a great place to use blocks if you need it. But see if we can start to roll to the pinky toe edge of our right foot a couple of times, almost like a little windshield wiper blade, rocking that right knee open to mobilize that right hip. If this feels not great, just stay where you are. Good. Pushing back just a little bit or a lot. We're going to pull the right toes up towards your face as we stretch the back of your leg. Sink back into that lunge and then rock back into that hamstring stretch. So the hands can come wherever they feel most comfortable. They could stay where they are, they can move a little bit, or they could rest on a block. Just finding a place that feels appropriate for your body, but that you're getting a nice, easy, ballistic stretch here. Good. We'll still the legs after one more round. And then begin to just gently step your right knee back to the left knee. Sit back in child's pose for a moment, knees wide, knees closed, whatever feels good to you. Maybe the forehead can rest to the mat, or maybe the hips have to lift a little. Know that this pose is going to be there for you at any point in any practice of yours. If you just need to rest, simply recover the breath or find that intention. Coming back into hands and knees, step your left foot to the pinky edge of your left hand so that the hands are inside the left foot. Pull the heart open, sink the right hip down somewhere, and start to windshield wiper blade that left knee in and out by rolling onto the pinky toe edge of your left foot. You may find one side feels a little bit different than the other. That's okay. We're just always working towards balance. Remembering that if a pose doesn't feel good, to just honor that and not push too deeply into that stretch. Sinking the hips back, open the hamstring, and then rock your hips forward. Sink the hips back, open the back of the leg by extending your knee a little bit or a lot. And you can see my knee is not all the way straight. I have pretty tight hamstrings. I have a little bit of tension through both of my hamstrings, both legs. So I don't straighten my leg all the way out. But if you feel really good, you could go all the way straight. Okay, we'll rock one more time. Coming forward and then sinking that left knee back towards the right knee. Push into a child's pose and rest for just a moment. Ground into your hands. We're going to start to lift the hips, but keep the back rounded. Move your chin towards your chest. Roll yourself forward for just a brief moment. We find cat pose. And then unwrap into modified plank. So the knees are back behind the hips just a little bit. Squeeze your elbows towards one another so that if you bent the elbows, they would point straight back, and lower your chest all the way to the floor. Hips and chest hit the ground at the same time. Untuck your toes and tent your fingertips to the outside edges of your shoulders, maybe even coming off the mat a little bit. Pull your elbows up as you push your chest up a little bit or a lot, open the heart, keeping the fingertips tented, lower your chest back down. So really feeling this in the pecs. Inhale, push your chest up, open the heart, maybe a little bit or a lot. Even sinking the right shoulder down, look over the left shoulder if that's available in your shoulders. Inhale, push back up, and then sink the left shoulder down, look over the right shoulder. This feels way too aggressive on your shoulders, just stay neutral, come back to center, and we'll all come all the way back down to the mat. Place your hands by your rib cage, squeeze your elbows in a little bit more, keep the core engaged and push up into modified plank and then back into a child's pose and just rest the forehead down. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Begin to lift the hips and the gaze. Place your right hand towards the left edge of your mat and place your left hand on top of your right. We're going to start to sink into that right shoulder and feel your lats, your whole side waist really stretch out, maybe even resting your head, your right ear onto your right upper arm. Again, hips are lifted almost like a puppy pose. When you're ready, walk your hands over to the right edge of your mat, place your right hand on top of your left, and then start to sink your left shoulder down so that you feel the lats on the left side really stretch out. You might even feel that all the way down into your low back where these muscles connect. And then we'll come back to center when you're ready. Keep your toes tucked and sit back onto your heels. Make sure the pinky toes get tucked under too. Sometimes they don't exactly want to flip all the way under. So this can be an intense posture for some. Make sure that you find a place that feels good to you. So you could stay lifted like I am here, or you could sink all the way down. But just try to open the plantar fascia on the bottoms of the feet. And while we do this, we're going to open the shoulders. So interlace all 10 fingers behind you and keep your hands touching and clasped. Elbows pull towards one another, and you could stay right there as you open the heart. Or maybe keeping hands clasped, try to drop your knuckles all the way to the floor and find a soft back bend. Good. Breathe through the intensity, but making sure that we don't feel pain. When you're ready, release the hands, come up onto your knees, untuck your toes and stretch your hands skyward. Goalpost the arms as you sit back onto the heels. And then use the strength of the quads to lift you straight back up, hands to the sky. Use the strength of the quads to lower you back down as the arms goalpost and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, rise. Exhale, softly fall with control. Inhale, rise with strength. Exhale, fall with control. Good. Inhale, rise. Exhale, softly sinking. Inhale. Reach your hands forward like we're going into a child's pose. Lift the hips up. Start to roll yourself forward. Wave into a modified plank. Strong through the core. Elbows spin towards one another. Everything lowers at the same time. So hips and chest land. Untuck the tailbone. Squeeze your elbows in. Keep your hands lifted and find a low cobra. Exhale, wave your heart back down. Inhale, keep your hands lifted, low cobra, and wave your heart back down. So elbows squeeze in. Inhale, lift the hands, use the strength of the upper back, and exhale, wave back down. Grip into the hands, use the strength of the core to lift you up into a modified plank. Sit back like you're going into child's pose, but tuck the toes and find downward facing dog. So if you find that the back is really rounded and you're having a hard time relaxing your neck, begin to bend your knees until you feel that softness in your spine and let your shoulder blades melt in towards the back. Good. From there, maybe begin to straighten one leg out and the other by pedaling the feet. But we should be able to freely shake the head yes and no without any tension in the shoulders. So this is not necessarily a resting position. This will become more restful with time and practice. But this is an active pose, so be patient with yourself. Fingers spread wide, still the feet. Maybe keep a softness in the knees if your back is and hamstrings are a little bit tight. And just enjoy the breath here. Begin to peek to your fingertips and gently walk yourself to the top of the mat. Take your time, soften the knees, place your hands on your shins and find a long spine. Bend the knees a lot and peel your chest onto your thighs. Maybe grab opposite elbows, shake the head yes and no in a ragdoll. Now, this position can be very relaxing for some, but it can be pretty intense for others. So you may want to rest your elbows on your knees. Wherever you are, maybe just gently begin to sway side to side and see if you could even pull the toes up towards your face, lifting the whole foot up off the mat. If that feels way too intense on the backs of the legs, just keep your feet still. When you are ready, go ahead and still your body. Keep your knees really soft, lower your hands to the mat. Lower your hips a little bit more and roll one vertebra up at a time until we come into standing in mountain pose. And sweep your hands over your head. Let the palms come to touch and draw your hands to heart center. Ground into your feet. Make sure the feet are about shoulder width apart. And on your next breath in, we'll sweep the hands over our head high for a sun salutation. And as we exhale, we'll gently forward fold. On your next breath in, slide your hands to your shins somewhere, find a long spine, and exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands and step into a plank position. Lower down to your knees. Everything lowers to the mat, elbows pull back. Untuck the tailbone, untuck the toes. Inhale, lower high cobra. Exhale, wave your heart back to the earth. Tuck your toes. Modified plank pushes you up and back into downward facing dog. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Find the softness in your knees if you need it. Step your big toes to touch. Begin to lift your right leg up into the sky and try to find a long line from your right heel to your right hand. And then use the strength of the core to pull your right knee to your nose and step your right foot up to the top of the mat. So if it falls short, you can just use your right hand to help pull it up. Softly sink your left knee to the earth, squeeze your hips together and place your hands on your right knee. Come up into a low lunge. We'll keep our right hand on our knee as we reach our left hand up high to the sky. Resist the urge to dip into the low back by tucking the tailbone underneath you and find that nice, stable, locked spine. Then begin to push the hips forward so that you really feel that in the front of your left thigh, and perhaps even leaning over to the right edge to really stretch out your iliopsoas. Take one more breath in. As we exhale, circle your left hand to the floor, tuck your left toes, and lift your left knee off the mat. Start to open your heart and spin your right hand skyward. If that's too much on the right shoulder, you could place the right hand on your right hip crest. Take your gaze maybe even all the way up to the right thumb if it's up in the air, and then circle your right hand back down to the floor. This is a great place to use blocks under either one of your hands. We're going to spin the left heel down to the earth. Keep your right hand grounded on the floor or block as you reach your left hand to the sky. Think about pushing your right knee into your right arm to really feel that inner thigh stretch and engage your right glutes. Feel a long stretch through the outer edge of your left thigh. Use the core to rise you up into Warrior Two. Shoulders are on top of hips. Right knee is in line with right toes. And then stretch your right thigh out long. Heel toe your left foot up one step and then drive your hips back as you reach the arms forward. And place your right hand to the shin. Left hand can come to the sky or maybe even rest on your left hip if you need it. We might place our right hand on a block or the floor, but let's try to take that curve out of the left rib cage and try to flatten that out a little bit more. Adjust your hips as needed. Feel this deeply in the inner thigh and the back of the right leg. And again, using blocks where we need them. Spin your gaze maybe skyward if it's appropriate for you. And then find a softness in your right knee. Use your strength of your core to pull you back up into the standing position. Rebend the right knee into Warrior Two, and then flip your right palm to the sky. Reach forward just a little bit and lightly as you can, place your left hand on the back thigh and reach your right hand up and back for a reverse warrior. Feel the sideways stretching out. Ground strong into the feet. And as we exhale, come to warrior two for just a brief moment and cartwheel your hands on either edge of your right foot. Pick your back heel up and step lightly into a plank pose. Knees or toes lower all the way to the floor. Untuck your toes, lower high cobra, and then exhale, wave back to the mat. Tuck your toes, knees or toes lift up into plank pose, and then sit up and back into downward facing dog. Take a breath in, and take a breath out. Fingers are spread wide, step big toes to touch. On your next breath in, lift your left heel high to the sky, finding a long line from your left heel to your left hand. Square your hips, and as we exhale, pull your knee towards your nose, and lightly as you can, step left foot to left thumb. Again, if that foot falls short, just pull it forward with your left hand. Sink your right knee to the mat, untuck your right toes, square the hips together, and then place your hands on your left knee and come into a lunge position. So we want to feel this on the front of the right thigh, so try not to dip into that low back. Tuck your tailbone to lock your spine and then push your hips forward. Reaching that right hand up skyward. From here, make sure that back doesn't extend too much. And then we're going to lean over to the left while we keep our left hand placed on the left thigh. Keep the breath moving. So if it's too intense, if you can't breathe, we need to back off of the stretch a little bit more. When you're ready, come back to center, circle your right hand to the earth, or maybe to a block. Tuck your right toes, lift your back knee, and start to place your left hand either to your waist or reach the hand up high to the sky. Try not to let that right hip sink too hard towards the ground. We want to square the hips and find that duality of really opening the hips and then also spinning. That's where we find that nice deep stretch. Gaze may come to the left thumb or stay neutral or even to the floor. And then circle your left hand to the outer edge of your left foot. We're going to spin your right heel into the mat and then reach your right hand up to the sky. So that left hand can be placed on a block, or you can even rest your left elbow on your left thigh. But try to push that left knee into that left upper arm, or trying to mimic that motion wherever you are, so that we feel the glutes engage and the inner thigh open. Now really use the strength of the core here, so keep your spine nice and strong as we come up into warrior two. Hold for just a moment, keeping that left knee bent. Feel that intensity in the thigh. Feel the strength building. It's okay to be a little uncomfortable. And then elongate that left thigh. Heel toe the right foot forward one step, and then as we push the hips back, we're going to reach our left fingertips forward. And then when the stretch is over, we begin to let the left hand rest on the left shin somewhere. So try not to let that right rib cage puff up. Really try to straighten that out. Maybe look to your right fingertips, or maybe the right hand stays on the waist. You could lower your left hand to a block or the floor, and we can take the gaze where you feel most comfortable. Think about what the arms are doing. Can we spin the shoulder bones out just a little bit? Good. Rebend the left knee just a little bit, and then we come back up into warrior two. Flip your front palm, reach forward, and find reverse warrior. Very little pressure applied into the right hand as we reach our left hand back. Take a moment here, find your breath. And then we'll gently come back into warrior two for a moment, and then cartwheel the hands either edge of our left foot. Pick your back heel up, step into a plank pose. Knees or toes lower all the way to the earth. Untuck your toes. Inhale, lower high cobra. Exhale, wave your heart back to the mat. Tuck your toes, knees or toes, plank pose, and then up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Begin to look to the top of your mat. Gently begin to walk yourself forward. Feet meet hands. Inhale, find a halfway lift, long spine, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep your hands over your head high, and exhale, draw your hands to heart center. Connect with your breath, ground into your feet. We're going to play with just a little bit of a IT band lateral stretch. So place your right foot behind your left, and we're going to find a softness in our left knee. So our feet are crossed, but our right foot is in the back. And we're going to reach our right hand up high to the sky as our left hand reaches down towards the floor. So start to lean into that stretch a little bit. So maybe feeling this down the right outer thigh and along the right side waist as we lean to the left. The right leg is straight and the left leg is a little bit soft. Good. Sweep your hands down and then to heart center, unwrap your feet. And then step your left foot behind your right, and our feet are crossed here, our ankles are crossed, but we're soft in the right knee this time. So right hand comes to your side, left hand reaches up to the sky. And then we're going to just start to lean over to the right with that left hand. Feeling this along the side of the left thigh and the left side body. Your gaze could stay neutral or even spin up towards the sky. And then as we softly lower that left hand back towards the earth, we'll bring our hands towards heart center and unwrap our feet. Now we're just going to play with simple single leg stance position here, nothing too crazy, but if you don't practice balance, this could be quite challenging. So just try to stand on your right leg. So pull your left foot up somewhere, keep your hips squared, try not to let your hips drop, and then just root into your right foot. Find a point in front of you, a drishti point to connect in with to keep your balance. And then when you're ready, step your left foot down. Ground into your left foot, grow roots through your feet, crown of the head long, and then pull your right knee up somewhere. So again, finding a point to focus on that's not moving, a drishti point. And then place your right foot back down. Inhale, sweep your hands overhead high, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find a halfway lift somewhere, and then exhale, forward fold. So fingertips could even come to the floor on that halfway lift. Good. Place your hands to the mat, step into plank pose. Take a breath in, knees or toes, lower all the way to the earth. Inhale, untuck your toes, lift lower, high cobra, and exhale, wave back to the mat. Tuck your toes, plank pose, up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in, step your feet together, and lift your right leg up high into the sky. As we exhale, you use the strength of your core to pull your right knee into your nose and step your right foot to right thumb. Softly lower your left knee to the mat. Untuck your toes. Hands to your knee. Come up into crescent lunge. So a familiar flow, moving just a little bit faster here. We're going to sweep our left hand up high to the sky, and this time we're going to take our left hand to the back of the neck. So if this really doesn't feel great on the shoulder, we can just keep that left hand stretched up to the sky like we had before. But if this feels available to that left shoulder, we're going to reach our right hand up and then grab that left elbow with the right hand. So from here, start to open the elbows wide. Try to pull the elbows apart and flare the chest open. And then see if you can lean over to the right side of your mat. So getting a really nice deep tricep stretch on the left side, but also that psoas stretch as well. Begin to reach back up to the sky. Place your hands on either edge of your right foot. Tuck your left toes. Left hand stays grounded to the floor or block as we reach our right hand to the hip or up to the sky. Square the hips, open the side of that right thigh up, and then place your right hand on the mat or a block and spin your left heel down. Reach the left hand up high to the sky. Use the strength of the core, come to warrior two. Take just a moment here and then elongate your right leg. Heel toe your left foot up one step. Push your hips back, reach forward, and place your right hand on your shin somewhere, or maybe to a block or even the floor for Trikonasana triangle pose. Kind of keeping that left rib cage in mind here as we find this position. Take a few moments just to enjoy the stretch. Soften the right knee and come back into a warrior two position. Flip your front palm forward and up, and then reaching up and back into a reverse warrior. Take one more breath in, and then exhale, cartwheel your hands back to the earth. Back heel lifts, step into a plank pose. Knees or toes lowers you all the way to the mat. Inhale, find a low or a high cobra as you untuck your toes. And exhale, pull your heart back to the earth. Knees or toes, tuck the toes up and back into plank pose and downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Big toes come to touch. On your next breath in, lift your left heel high to the sky. As we exhale, pull your knee towards your nose and step your left foot towards left thumb, using the strength of the core. Softly lower your right knee to the earth. Square your hips. Place your hands on your left knee as you untuck your right toes. Hips stay squared to keep your balance. We're going to begin to lift your right hand up high to the sky and maybe find that hand on the back of the neck. And then just seeing how that feels to this shoulder. And again, remember, if we don't feel good here, we can keep that right hand lifted like we did the first round. But we'll place that right hand to the small of the back if it's available, and then take our left hand to that right elbow and begin to pull your elbows apart, trying to open your chest. From there, begin to maybe lean a little deeper towards the left side of your mat. Really feel that whole side body stretching from tricep all the way down to your hip crest, and really feeling how the body's all connected. Next breath in, fingertips reach up to the sky, and then place hands either edge of your left foot. Keep your right hand somewhere on the floor or a block as you reach your left hand up high to the sky. Good. Take a breath in and take a breath out. Circle the left hand to the mat, spin your right heel to the floor, reach your right hand to the sky, and keep opening that left knee out into that left arm bone. Use the strength of your core. Come to warrior two. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale will elongate that left knee. Heel toe your back foot up one step. Push your hips back, reach your left hand forward. Find triangle pose on this side, Trikonasana. Open the chest, keep that right rib cage long. And remember, that hand can always come to the waist if the shoulders are getting really fatigued by reaching up to the sky. Perhaps lower your left hand somewhere if it's available for you. Soften your left knee a little bit as you come back up into a standing position here in that warrior two stance. Reach that left hand forward and up and back into reverse warrior. Take a moment to breathe, enjoy the stretch, and then exhale, cartwheel your hands either edge of your left foot. Pick your back heel up, step to plank pose, knees or toes, lower all the way to the mat. Inhale, lift, lower, high cobra. Exhale, pull the heart back to the earth. We're going to sit back in child's pose here, so take your time, sit up and back, and just rest. Hands come where they feel most comfortable, whether that's stretched out in front of you or kind of draped over, the arms draped over the knees with the hands back behind you. Reflecting on that intention that you might have set. Feel the heart rate and the breath begin to slow. And we're going to move into a pigeon pose here. So if you know that pigeon does not really feel great to you, you can come onto your back and find a figure four stretch as we move through either side. But we're going to come up into hands and knees and then just slide your right knee through to your thumbs. We're going to pull the right foot over and then just kind of sit on your right hip a little bit. So we're going to square the hips here if you can, but if that's way too intense, you can rock over into that right hip. I know a lot of my patients and clients don't really feel great in pigeon, so you can rock a little over to the side, but a more traditional variation of this pose is to square the hips and maybe even using a block underneath that right glute if you need it. But we're going to open the heart just a little bit, and wherever you are, if you can find some sort of forward fold, resting on the elbows or maybe the hands a little bit, go for it. Like I said, if this is not just uncomfortable, but it's just actually painful, let's find a supine version of this stretch, a figure 4 stretch. You may choose to make double fists and lower your forehead down onto the fist, or maybe even just simply rest your forehead to your hands or even just to the floor. But we'll take a few moments of stillness and quiet just to enjoy this stretch together. When you're ready, begin to lift your gaze, come back up onto the hands. Slide your right knee back and then straighten that right leg out. Shake the leg, maybe bend the knee a few times just to reset after that deep stretch. And then we'll place the right knee back down. We're going to slide our left knee through to our thumbs. And if you're on your back, you can just switch legs here, switch sides. But we're going to kind of pull that foot over to the side so that we're making kind of like a little V shape with our left thigh and our left lower leg. And again, we can stay kind of rocked off onto the left side and just lean forward if that feels better to you. Or squaring the hips, kind of finding a lift to that left hip, maybe placing a block or even a blanket underneath the left glute if you need a little support for a more traditional pigeon pose variation. Pull the heart up, make some space in the spine, and then when you're ready, find a forward fold that feels appropriate for you. And letting your head rest wherever it may feel comfortable. And again, breathing through the intensity, but not meeting pain in this pose. And we'll take a few moments of stillness and quiet. When you're ready, we'll gently begin to lift the gaze, come back onto the hands, and then just gently coming back into hands and knees. Stretch your left leg out long, shake it out, maybe bend the knee a few times if that feels good to you. And then when you're ready, we'll come to easy seat. And if you're on your back right now, just stay on your back because we are all about to meet in that position. So as we come to our back, we're going to just let the head relax down, and we're going to roll all the way to the left side of your mat, the left side of your body. And it's hard to see on this side, but we're going to take our right hand on top of the left. I want those hands touching and the arms straight out in front of the shoulders, so they're nice and in line with the shoulder joints. Keep your left leg out long and then hike your right knee up a little bit higher. We're going to start to reach our right hand up and over and find this open book shape. So if that is not available, if you can't keep your right hand onto the mat, you can come up a little bit higher. But trying to maybe see if we can get that right hand in line with the right shoulder and keeping those shoulder blades down. And if this is too intense, just finding a soft twist, a spinal twist that feels right for you. We'll circle that right hand all the way back on top of the left, roll back onto your back, and then we're going to roll to the right side of our body, placing the hands on top of each other. Stretch your right leg out long and then hike your left knee up. Let the hands rest on top of each other, let the forehead rest down, and then trying to circle that left arm up, over, and out into a spinal twist position. Maybe even look to your left hand. You can close the eyes and just rest. And then we'll circle that left hand all the way back on top of the right. And then take your time, come all the way back onto your back. And from here we could find any position or any pose that we might still need in our body. But when you are ready, we will find a savasana, our final resting pose. Perhaps stretching the legs out long, open the palms up to the sky and receiving the benefits of our practice. We'll stay here for just a minute in stillness and quiet. Then begin to stretch the arms overhead long, expand through the toes, stretch your body out, and then roll to the right side of your mat when you're ready. And we'll find a moment of gratitude, an opportunity just to say thank you for something in your life. And when you're ready, we'll meet in easy seat. So we'll close our practice together, simply sweeping the hands over your head high. Let your palms come to touch and draw your thumbs down over your third eye, all seeing, all knowing, and into your heart center. Take a moment to bow into your inner light. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.